Everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can
You're
everyone?
audible.
Am I audible? Okay. My dear friends, I know this is a session, this is an afternoon session, and any session which one has to attend or one has to speak, it's a little a tedious task. But I would try my level best that I'm able to deliver what I intend to. And my August people or the audience who are there on this platform today, they do not feel oblivious and they become a part of this small session. Since this is just an online session, so things are quite different. Had it been an offline session, we could have been able to manage the things in a much better way. But as far as my presentation is concerned, I really don't want to start with my presentation with a lot of my topic. Of course, I will be doing that. But prior to that, before I go ahead with this thing, I'll just start sharing my presentation, and I would just request everyone to be a little participative, because if you're participative, you're able to connect with me very well. Otherwise, it will be just one-sided affair. All right, there's a lecture, you are listening, and nothing is going into the head. So my submission to every one of you who's joined on this platform today, just be a little interactive. Let's get pally with each other, and then. Of course, whatever I have to teach, I'm going to deliver on this platform. So, just a minute. Uh, I'll just start sharing. All right. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. The slides are visible, ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So, once again, a formal good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the first session of the 7-day National FDP on Fundamentals of Research. And my topic for today, it relates with the ethics in research today, and I will be delivering, and I hope that everyone gets to understand what are the ethics that we talk about. Now, since we are all connected online, so a smile is a handshake with your face. So a big hello to everyone from my side, and we just hope that we have a great learning session today in 1 hour time. I hope I'm able to connect with you. I hope that I'm able to live up to the expectations of the audience here. All right. So, as I told you, my friends, I do not want to straight away start with the session. I would like to have a small ice-breaking session with everyone. I would like you all to get pally to each other, not to be oblivious. I would like to have a small round of introduction of each participant, or maybe your name, maybe your department, or maybe the area from where you have joined, and anything else if you want to share with us. I'll take 5 minutes, and then we start with the presentation. Is it fine? Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So I'll just stop this for a while. Mhm. All right. So from where do we begin? I'll just stop sharing for a while. All right. From where do we begin, or you want me to take out the names, or you're going to introduce yourself? Anyone can start off. Just
Ma'am,
five
shall
minutes.
I
I can.
start?
Please, please. I cannot have.
Yeah,
Cannot afford to. Revati from Department of Commerce. We can have the rather than dropping a message, we can have a. You can unmute yourselves and you can introduce yourselves to us. Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Let me
May I,
start.
ma'am?
My name is
Yeah.
Rashmi. I'm joining from Bangalore. I'm the principal
Mm.
of Dr. S.R. Chandrasekhar Institute of Speech and Hearing. I'm a clinician, basically an audiologist, and
All
now a
right.
teacher.
Now a teacher. So wonderful. I'm sure being a principal, it's a very Herculean task too.
Yes, yes, administrative. So my clinician's duties have now taken a backseat.
So nothing like education, ma'am. You're welcome
Uh,
to the session. Welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome.
thank you.
Right. All right.
I'm
Next one.
Dr. Anita Fafale, and I am joining in a Nasik Manmad Junction from a Manmad railway station, very tribal area.
Okay.
I am joining, and economics is my subject, and I especially joining this subject because of I interested in a research and especially research and research patent. How come get it patents? This sort of information, and also research. How can write the paper for a
All right. So
perfect
that is
research.
your purpose for the entire FDP, right?
Yes,
That
yes,
is the
yes.
purpose that you're looking forward for. All right.
Yes,
So
yes.
you're welcome,
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Anita Madam. Welcome, welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right. Next one. Yes. Next one, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I'm Dr. V. Mahendra Mani from Tamil Nadu. I'm
Okay.
currently working as assistant professor in the Department of Biochemistry, Maradar Kesari Jain
Biochemistry.
College. Yeah, ma'am.
All right. Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Neha, I would like to have it rather than the message, but I would like you to speak also, right? All right. So you're joining from Tamil Nadu, biochemistry.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah, ma'am.
different field. All
Yeah.
right, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the session. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. All right. Who else? Who else would like to introduce? Anyone? Neha,
Good
madam?
afternoon, madam. Yes, good
Yeah, good
afternoon,
afternoon.
madam.
Good
Yeah, this
afternoon.
is Jyoti. Yeah, I am Jyoti Kulkarni from Belgaum, Karnataka.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working as a lecturer in a law college, and
Okay.
my area is Department of Management, ma'am. So
Acha,
the college has an integrated course BBA LLB. So
Okay.
I teach the BBA LLB students for 2 years. So
Hmm.
they learn all the management subjects.
Oh,
So
I would like
yeah.
to apprise you that I myself is a law graduate. Completed my
Okay.
LLB long, long back.
Oh,
All right,
nice,
Jyoti
nice,
madam.
nice to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome
Thank
to
you.
the session. Yeah, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. Thank
All
you,
right.
ma'am.
Anyone else? Or
Good
else?
afternoon, ma'am. This is
Good
Revati
afternoon. Revati madam,
from
yes.
Department of Commerce and Management. I
Oh.
have just completed my coursework. I'm pursuing
Hmm.
PhD.
From
University of Mysore.
University of Mysore. Wow, that happens to be a beautiful city, but I never had an opportunity to visit officially. So good to have you.
Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am.
So good to have you, Revati madam. All right. Who else? Who else would like to introduce themselves to the entire August audience here? Anyone? Mm, we've got so many people joining. Vani, Kirti. Are they interested or shall we proceed? I mean, it's just your prerogative to give an introduction. There's not a mandatory call. Anyone else? I am not hearing your voice, Mohana. Yes. Am I audible?
Ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe some technical problem. All right. So, shall we proceed or shall we have anyone else who's interested with the introduction? Well, anyways, so welcome Rashmi Madam, Dr. Anita, the ones from Tamil Nadu, from Biochemistry, Jyoti, Revati Madam, everyone, and who else has joined the session today. Ma'am, please check from your end. Okay. So, anyways, this was just a small breaking ice session I wanted to have with you because I really never wanted that in immediately in the afternoon session. And I'm here and bombarding you with lot of knowledge related with research and lot of knowledge related with ethics. So, what is more important is that we should be able to connect with each other. Otherwise, it's just going to be a monologue. But I hope that everyone is going to cooperate with me and we are going to have a nice learning session. I'll try my level best. So let me start off with my presentation. All right. So it says that my presentation is on ethics in research, and I'm sure like a lot of people are there who are doctorate. There are people who are research scholars, or maybe the people who have completed their thesis, or maybe they might be submitting, or maybe there are people who would be doing or who would be contemplating to do their research. So the topic that I talk about is it talks about the research, and I'm sure this topic is a very, very burning topic. Even if we talk about research, if we talk about publication, since we all of us are in the academia, so we need to do research and we need to do publication also. No matter if you are an assistant professor or an associate professor or even a professor, so this process never gets ended. So basically, let me talk about what is basically research ethics, or what is the meaning of ethics, or what is the meaning of research. Basically, ethics, they are nothing but they are just the standards that which we need to follow whenever we are doing any kind of research. And what is the meaning of research? We know that we are delving on one topic, we are going deep down. Maybe we are trying to establish a theory, maybe we are trying to find a solution to a problem, or maybe we are trying to come up with our own concept, or maybe where we are trying to dig out and find out what has been done, what has not been done, with the help of the literature review. And since everyone is a doctorate, and those who are not the doctorate, they might have they might have taken up their research topic on the basis of the gaps in the literature review. So ultimately, when we talk about research, when we talk about ethics, it is nothing but it is just a discipline that is dealing with the proper course of action. Or in other words, there are a number of definitions that I have given. I would not like to have all of them, but just in a nutshell, we have to understand it is nothing but is just the fundamental standards that one is expected to adhere to whenever they are doing any kind of research activities. And definitely, when we talk about the research activities, it is always the designing and the implementation of research. And basically, we are talking about the application of the fundamental ethical principles. And what are the principles? They are nothing, they are just the guidelines to do something good. So, when we're talking about research ethics, it's just nothing, but they are the fundamental ethical principles to research activities. And basically, it's all related with the designing and the implementation of research, keeping in mind the various participants of the research which we do. It could be related with the resources, it could be related with the individuals, it could be related with the outputs, it could be related with the scientific misconduct, or even it could be related with the regulation of the research that one does. Now, when we talk about this ethics again, there are basically three types of ethics that we talk about. Now, ethics, it's a different concept. Of course, I'll be talking in terms of research, but however, we should know what are the different kind of ethics that we talk about. For example, there can be meta ethics, there can be normative ethics, there can be applied ethics. Now, what happens in the case of meta ethics? Meta ethics is basically we are talking, or we are concerned with the nature of ethical judgment that one has. Now, for example, if I ask you, if I say no, one should not go to the mountains, they are very, very dangerous. So, if I tell you ethically one should not go to that other side of the mountain because it is dangerous, then the question arises, how do you know? So here, when we talk about the meta ethic, is basically how people come up with their idea, or how do they come to know about the particular thing. For example, it's written as a branch of analytical philosophy that explores the status, foundation, and scope of moral values, properties, and word study of moral thoughts and language, plus ethical judgment. Basically, the judgment is that you should not go to the other side of the mountain. But ultimately, we have to make a decision what is right, what is wrong. And in case if somebody is asking not to go to the other side of the mountain, then the question arises, how? For example, somebody says, no, that the other person is not a thief. All right, considered the person is not a thief. But here, when we talk about the meta ethics, how do you know that the person is not a thief? Because a thief will never confess that he or she is a thief. So basically, meta ethics basically asks the question of what it means to do ethics, or what is the meaning of ethics. Or in other words, what we can say is meta ethics questions how we can justify the ethical judgments, or how we can prove that one ethical theory is better than the another one. So there are a lot of arguments which have been done by a lot of people. Ultimately, we just have to understand it answers the question what it means and how one comes to know about it. Then we talk about the normative ethics. Now, normative ethics addresses the question of what ought to be done. That means what is right and what is wrong. Now, one way of understanding ethic is by looking at the norms or the rules. Now, there's a difference between norms and the rules. Now, norms, they are the set of unwritten rules and regulation, whereas rules are something which are written in black and white. So, normative ethics looks at what is right and what is wrong in a specific situation. For example, if I tell you there is a doctor. Now, doctor says, is it ethical for a doctor to tell the patient that he has a very chronic illness and there is no cure for his illness? Now, there are two things involved in this. For example, the one thing that is involved is that in case if the doctor tells the patient First thing is that the patient will be hurt. Second thing, is it ethical for a doctor to hurt his patient? Second example, for example, if there is a lawyer, now when there's a lawyer, his work is to protect his client. And on the other hand side, if he knows that the client or the client is a criminal and he has done something wrong, so is it ethical for an advocate to make a decision regarding saving his client? Now, that is what it says about the normative ethics. Now, normative ethics is nothing but they just establish or they seek to establish the norms and standards of the ethics. So, they basically talk about normative ethics. Now, the third one is basically applied ethics, as the name itself is telling us that here there is an application of the normative ethical theories to practical moral problems. Now here the efforts are being made that we are applying the ethics in our daily life. Now when we have the applied ethics, of course it would be just the ethics of recycling, or what we can say is that we are just recycling things. For example, if a teacher teaches the child and the child grows up, the child teaches another students, and again those students, they grow up, again they start teaching. So however, the applied ethics is anything which you have learned, and there is an ethics of recycling. So same that can be applied to our personal lives also, by ensuring recycle as much as possible and teaching our children to do the same. So in case if we whatever we teach or preach to our students or our children, naturally they will be following the same. So applied ethics is nothing but is just the ethics of recycling. Now there can be number of issues that, for example, if anybody says that what is the impact of deforestation on the habitats, species habitat, which could cause a loss in the biodiversity. Now, on the one hand side, deforestation, one may consider it correct, one may not consider it correct. Now, the question arises, whom to believe? So, it all depends upon our personal personality to decide whether the deforestation is correct or whether the deforestation is not correct. If you happen to be a businessman and if you are doing the deforestation, then it is perfectly fine. On the other hand, in case if you're an animal lover or a wildlife lover, in that case, doing deforestation, then definitely that would be something which not be relished at all by those people. So these are the basically three ethics that we talk about: meta ethics, normative ethics, and the applied ethics. So basically, I want to tell you what is the meaning of different kind of ethics, and then we'll come to the research ethics. Now, another there can be different kind of theories which have come up. For example, deontology, utilitarianism, or virtue ethical theory. Now, let me start with deontology. Now, deontology is basically, it is just the people's duties and obligation to distinguish what is right and what is wrong. For example, if anybody says that anybody can say that lying is a bad habit or stealing is a bad habit. So here the decision has to be taken by the person what is right or what is wrong. For a thief, stealing is perfectly fine, but for a normal gentleman, stealing is a crime. So here we have to distinguish what is right and what is wrong, or we can say an action is considered morally good because of the same characteristics of the action itself. Now that's what, if I tell you, if a doctor is charging high money from rich people, ethically he might be correct, but unethically if he's charging the same sum of money from a poor patient, he might not be correct. So deontology is basically it's all the people's duties and obligation to decide what is right and what is wrong. Then utilitarianism basically talks about the that the actions have to be judged by the ability to produce the greatest good. Now, for example, if any action has been done with the purpose of providing maximum happiness rather than unhappiness to all the people who are getting affected, that is known as utilitarianism approach. Basically, some may have the ability to understand the consequences of an action. Maybe there are other people who may not be able to understand the option. So basically, utilitarianism argues that action should be judged by their ability to produce the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Now, if there is a mythological guru, he is giving his preachings for the purpose of providing maximum good to the large number of people. So that is the approach that is known as the utilitarianism approach that we have. Then the last one which we have, it is talking about the virtue ethical theories. Now, basically, virtues are what? They are nothing but they are the traits that should be adopted by a person to become good. For example, if there's a mythological guru and if he's talking something very nice or his preachings are very, very attractive, then in that case, we can imbibe those virtues in our own self. So, virtue ethics often focuses on what we should do and not to do in various situations rather than or whether rather it is right or wrong. For example, if I tell you that drinking in corporate world is very, very essential, and on the other hand, if the person happens to be a teetotaler, then what is right, what is wrong? So in case if a person is a teetotaler and if he happens to be in a corporate party, so is it good for him to pick up a glass, or is it not good to pick up a glass? So here the question rises, what kind of virtues do you have taken from others? If a person is a teetotaler, definitely he would not like to have anything. Another example, for example, if there is a CEO of the company, he is getting late for the meeting now, and if he is getting late for the meeting and there is a traffic signal and he is breaking the traffic rule, so now he is on tender hooks. Is it right for him to break the traffic rules, or is it right for him to reach his office late for the meeting? What kind of impression will be he giving to the people who are working under him? So here, basically, what we have to tell us, we have to understand what is right and what is wrong as per the situation. Another example, for example, if you are in a car, are you all listening? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, for example, if you're in a car and if somebody is unhealthy or somebody has fallen ill in your car, and if you're speeding up to reach the hospital on time, so that would be the virtue ethics. Is it good enough to speed up and break the traffic rules because somebody is ill in your car? On the other hand, if you are a rash driver and nobody is ill in your car and you are speeding up the car, is it good enough for you to speed up? So here there we basically talk about virtual ethical theories. So naturally, there are different kind of theories, but I would not like to go into it, but I just wanted to give you a bird's eye view about the deontology, utilitarianism, and virtue ethical theory of ethics. Now, when we talk about research, since my topic is all related with ethics and research, now there is a difference between the clinical and the social science research. Now, we are basically all from social science research. I am from the Department of Commerce. So, a couple of people who have introduced themselves right in the beginning of the session, they said that they are from economics. Somebody happens to be Rashmi Madam from Bangalore. She said that she's the principal, and then she's into teaching now. And Dr. Anita from Nasik, or maybe the sir from Tamil Nadu from biochemistry, and maybe another one from law background, or maybe another one from commerce. So people are doing research in different areas. So there are basically clinical researchers and the social science research. My dear friends, irrespective of the research which is conducted, we have to understand the ethics have to be followed in both the research. We cannot bypass any kind of research. Now, this is just a phase that I had given, that how how the research moves in the clinical trial. So this is all medical part, and how things move in the social science research is just related with the identification of problem, definition, development of the framework, hypothesis, research design, then going for the research, data collection, analysis, and the, of course, the report part. So this is the steps that we follow during our research. But why did I put this slide intentionally? Why? Because I want to tell you all that whether it is phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we all have to be ethical in every step. Even if you are, supposing if you're identifying a problem, we have to be ethical enough, we have to see that the problem is justified. For example, if I'm talking about the framework, I should know that I'm not fabricating. There is no falsification. For example, if it is something related with the data collection, so again, I have to ensure that there is no omission, or maybe the design that I have done, I'm able to cover up the entire segment. Or maybe when I'm doing the analysis part, I have to be ethical enough that again, I don't have to falsify. I don't have to do any kind of fabrication. So basically, when we talk about the scientific research, we have to ensure that any research which is done, it should have the capacity that it can be generalized, it should be objective, it should be original, and should be rigor. Now, originality of research becomes very, very important, because plagiarism happens to be one of the biggest ethical issues that a researcher faces, or people, they do not hide or doing away the plagiarism. Now, we have got so many plagiarism softwares that it can detect, even in BHU also, if a thesis is submitted. So the entire thesis has to go through the soft copy of the thesis has to go through the different plagiarism softwares. Now, there's a small activity I'm going to do with you all. Are you all listening, my dear friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Ma'am.
All right. Okay, fine. You have a pen and a paper in your hand?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Just 2 minutes activity. All right, fine. So what I'll do is, like, I will be talking about more of the research, but I just wanted to give you just wanted to give you the overview. Now, in your the pen and paper, I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes of time. You have to write down what are a few good ethics and bad ethics according to you. It may not be related with the research. I reiterate, it may not be related with research. Research part I'm going to cover, because that's my work to cover. So according to you, as a layperson, what are the 5 or few good ethics and few bad ethics according to you? Right? Did you all get me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? All right. So I'll give you 2 minutes of time, and whosoever finishes up, just let me know, because since I'm sharing my screen, I cannot see the messages as of now. So just, unmute your mic and let me know. So what you're supposed to do is, you are supposed to write a few examples of good ethics and bad ethics. It may be related with anything. It can be related with environment. It can be related with business. It can be related with personal, whatever. I want to know your thought process, and then I will proceed. I'm giving you 2 minutes of time. Please start writing. What according to you are few good ethics, and what according to you are few bad ethics? The time starts now. I hope you all are writing. Few good ethics and few bad ethics.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Have you written, sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right. I'll just take 1 more minute, let others also write, and then we can have a
Okay.
discussion.
Okay,
Right.
okay, ma'am.
Right.
Okay, ma'am.
Right.
Thank you.
Sir. Right. Ji. Have others also written? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So who would like to start? Before starting, just tell your name and the place, है ना? So that we can get to know who's answering. Yes, yes,
May I,
ma'am.
ma'am?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. Ma'am, myself, Dr. Hemant Kumar Gupta.
All right.
I am professor in mechanical engineering department.
Mechanical.
Yeah, mechanical engineering.
Which part, sir?
I am in the engineering professor in engineering college as a professor.
Which area? Which city?
City Bharuch, Gujarat.
Okay, Bharuch. I once
Yeah.
attended a conference. Okay,
Oh,
Bharuch. Yes, sir.
okay, okay. From
Right, sir.
from the good ethics point of view, it may
Hmm.
be honesty,
Okay.
self-discipline,
Hmm.
kindness.
Kindness. So honesty and kindness. So according to you, one person should be honest. Self-discipline is something which is going to yield some positive and productive responses, and kindness
Yes,
that we should be humble. All
yes,
right.
ma'am.
And what about bad one?
Bad one, it is abusive behavior.
Which one?
Abusive behavior.
Abusive. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Lying to others.
Lying. Okay. Okay.
Violating internal policies.
Or like violating internal policies. Okay. I'm writing also for you. Huh?
Yeah, or we can say misuse of time.
Oh, this is so nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Misuse of time. All right. So thank you, Dr. Gupta. So
yeah. Thank you.
definitely, like bad ethics is according to abusive behavior. You do not have any right to abuse anyone or to lie. But lying depends on what situation are you in, right? And violating the internal policies. This could be a little dangerous one because it could land you in hot waters. And of course, the misuse of time. That is one of the bad ethics. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Who else want to discuss?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Mahendra.
All right. Good afternoon, sir.
The good ethics, ma'am, I
Please.
listed down.
Yeah. Good
Honesty,
ethics. Mm.
integrity,
Mm.
respect to others,
Respect. Okay.
responsibility,
Responsibility.
responsibility,
Okay. Mm.
empathy,
Empathy. Okay.
trust.
Trust. Okay.
Bad ethics, ma'am. It's like
Huh.
cheating, stealing,
Cheating. Very good.
harassment,
Oh, this is very correct. Harassment.
conflicts,
Conflicts. Okay.
free judgment, judge,
Prejudgment.
uh,
All right.
and then
All right.
internal politics, and that's it.
Internal politics.
Thank
Correct. So thank you, Aman sir, for those good ethics and bad ethics. So it's all more or less stealing, harassment, conflicts,
Yeah,
prejudgment,
ma'am.
internal politics. Yes. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Hmm.
Ma'am, I would also like to add some points.
Please, please. What is the good name?
For good ethics, I would
Ma'am,
say
good name.
being accountable to the stake. Revati.
Revati madam. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
accountable for the various stakeholders.
Accountable for stakeholders. Now you're talking in
Uh,
terms of company, huh?
yeah, in terms of company,
Correct.
be it government, society,
Hmm.
employees, and customers, and
Hmm,
being
hmm, hmm, hmm.
honest and paying taxes and contributing
That's
to the society. And bad
contributing to
ethics, I would
society.
say, like where you find loopholes in the system, you avoid tax and non-delivering
Okay.
of promise. You promise to deliver a product, but you don't live up to the promises, and you're
So this is
not
more of again
empathetic.
related with the business ethics, and non-delivery of whatever you promise. Huh?
Yeah,
This is all
yeah,
related with business ethics,
yes.
right? All right, wonderful, wonderful, Revati madam. And who else?
Ma'am, I would like to add a few.
Please, please, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Good
Hmm.
ethics. I believe helping others whenever they are in trouble. Uh,
Good. Helping others.
yeah.
Good.
Then always having gratitude for whatever you have.
Oh,
Uh,
very good. This is something
yeah,
very
and
nice.
then being contented in your life probably would not lead to any bad ethics. Uh, so yeah, and then
Madam, people are not contented. They want more, and then
yeah,
the things
yeah.
roll on. Yeah.
Yeah, and then bad ethics, I have only few to this. I feel backstabbing people, uh,
Hmm.
and then having double standards. So
Double
probably
standard.
that would be added to the bad ethics list. Yeah, from my side.
All right. So, what is the good name, madam?
Yeah, Jyoti
What is the good
Kulkarni,
name?
ma'am, from Jyoti
Jyoti.
Kulkarni from Belgaum. Yeah, Belgaum,
For
Karnataka.
Karnataka. All right, right.
Yeah.
So wonderful. So we've got four almost sessions. So somebody's talking about. So in a nutshell, what we can say is that people have an idea what is the good behavior and what ethics and what are bad ethics. Somebody might be talking about the personal ethics where they talk about abusive behavior, lying, or maybe violation of the internal policies, as said by Dr. Gupta. Revati madam talking about non-delivery of your promises, loopholes, so on and so forth. And Mahinder sir talking about stealing, harassment, conflicts, prejudgment, and so on and on. So good ethic is something where we do not need any work area. So we don't have to work upon the good ethics, but however, we have to work upon bad ethics. Now, why did I do this exercise? Because I wanted to give you a flavor of ethics. So here, what I want to tell you is that ethics can be anything. There can be number of ethics that we can talk about. It could be related with your personal, it could be related with professional, it can be related with business, it can be related with family, teachers, friends. So you talk about, you just open your eyes and see around, and you find that the ethics are applicable everywhere, whether it is related with family, teachers, friends, or this is all professional ethics. Anything which is related with personal, maybe things have been discussed about personal. Then maybe something could be related with governance, something could be related with engineering, something could be related with telephonic ethics. So there is no end to the ethics, because whenever we do any kind of business, personally or professionally, naturally we are talking about ethics. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. All right, let me proceed. Now we are talking about the objectives of research ethics. Now, research ethics, basically, since we are all academicians, and now you have a better idea what is the meaning of ethics. So whether it is in the personal arena or whether it is in the professional arena, we are supposed to follow certain ethics. Something which is already good, we do not have to work upon them, but something which is negative, we need to work upon them. So why we talk about the research ethics? Because we need to protect the people who are the participants in our research. So it could be, for example, Revati madam said that it could be related with our shareholders, customers, employees, or maybe the outsiders. So definitely we have to follow, whenever we are doing any research related with the customers, any research which we are doing related with the employees, we have to take their confidence, we have to talk about their dignity, we have to talk about their rights and about their welfare. Then second, it talks about whenever we are talking about research ethics, again, it is there to help people. Somebody talked about empathy. Empathy is what? It's nothing. It's just the turning of the tables, placing yourself in the shoes of others. So naturally, whenever we are doing any kind of research, we should understand how people feel, or how will people react, keeping in their mind. For example, in one of my slides, I have that there are a number of vulnerable people. For example, anybody who's poor, anybody who's illiterate, anybody who's a victim of a serious crime. So these are the people, that we have to be very, very careful. We have to follow the ethics. Now, I'll just take half a minute and I'll share a small joke with you. You might have seen it on newspapers also, on Facebook also, on WhatsApp also. Now, in case if a person is drowning, if a person is drowning, instead of helping the person, people are clicking photographs, people are making videos. Now, this is unethical behavior. However, the people, they should have come forward and help the people, but people are taking photographs from their mobile phones and they are making videos. Now this is not anything which is ethical. So definitely, if they are number of vulnerable people, it could be somebody poor, it could be related with somebody who's illiterate, old age people, ill people. So we have to be quite considerate towards them also. And the third objective is that a particular research events and schemes for the ethical reliability. Whatever research we are doing, we have to talk that it is all relevant. We are not talking about irrelevant research anywhere. Then, of course, we have talked about ethics. I'm not going to talk about the slide. So definitely research ethics, we all know what are the different research ethics. Now, I'll be talking about number of principles that guide us during the time of doing our research. Now, it could be related with the maximum benefit or minimizing the risk area. There should be some objectivity. There should be some clarity, transparency. There should not be any conflict of interest. There should be some dignity, some informed consensus should be taken from the people. And of course, the research that we do, it has to be quite reliable. Or maybe in the initial phase also, that any research which you are doing, we should do some kind of responsible research. We should have the honor of doing proper research. So there are different ways where we can follow the ethics. Now, in the case of research ethics, now basically there would be number of principles that we need to take into consideration. It could be related with the individuals, it could be related with institutions, it could be related with society, it could be related with people who are my participants in the research. So definitely, if it is related with individuals, we have to talk about their dignity, about their protection, about about their respect, about their roles and responsibility, keeping them informed, no fabrication, no falsification, and of course, the research that we do, keeping in mind the values and the norms. So these are the two key words that we have to take into consideration: values and the norms. That norms is something, some set of unwritten rules and regulations. So as a researcher, we have to be very, very careful that we have to maintain the ethics of confidentiality, about the dignity, who are the participants in our research, about their informed consensus. They should know why the research is being done, who is doing the research, do they have the right to participate in the research, what would be the repercussion of the research, will it be made public, or will it be for some government organization, so on and so forth. So a lot of questions can be answered in that regard. So ethical consideration in the research process is like when I discuss the various steps of the research. So or we have to ensure that the ethics are being followed at every step, whether it is related with the conceptualization of the study, whether it's related with the data collection, maybe with the analysis part, maybe with the participants. Every step involves ethics. This is what I want to put it across. Then ethics revolution is not new. It all dates back to Aristotle, and then the Socrates, Siddhartha Gautam, so on and so forth. So this is a slide, of course, which I have taken from internet to give you that the research is not a new word, but it has come from ages and ages. Now, in the term of ethics in the treatment of respondents, of course, when we are doing research, our research is incomplete without respondents. So what kind of ethics we need to follow when we talk about, about the research ethics? They are, of course, the core aspect of the research work. Now, when we talk about this, definitely here, the last points that are more important: right to privacy, right to choose, right to safety, and right to be informed. Every respondent who is a person who is giving me some data, he or she has the right to be informed. There should not be any conflict of interest across the various levels. And then here they are the main ethical principles of the research. Now there are a number of them which have been mentioned. For example, there is dignity, justice, competence, integrity, responsibility, honesty. So even if I pick up few of them, for example, if I talk about dignity. So if you're doing any kind of research, if you're taking data from somebody, you have to maintain the dignity of the person. For example, I told you the people who are most vulnerable. For example, if there's a rape victim, and if you're trying to do any kind of research related with that, then the high level of dignity and the confidentiality has to be maintained, because we do not have the right to hurt the sentiments of anyone. Then maybe privacy or maybe honesty, any kind of research we are talking in terms of maybe like Revati madam talked about customers or maybe shareholders or maybe the third parties or our employees. So definitely we have to ensure that their privacy is maintained, that the justice is being done to them, and whatever it is, we are writing the same thing in our report. We are not fabricating, or we are not falsifying anything. So these are the points which have been mentioned here related with the honesty. We have to be honest with whatever work we do. Integrity, that means we should know what is right and what is wrong. With sincerity has to be followed in terms of integrity. And of course, when we talk about the objectivity as one of the principles of research ethics, we have to ensure that we do not have the right to do any kind of partiality in terms of designing, data collection, or maybe the analysis part. That means we have to avoid the biasness. That's what it basically means. For example, they like in terms of objectivity, the rules may be different for different set of people. As I gave you the example of a CEO, if he is in a hurry and wants to attend the meeting, so in case if he breaks the traffic signal, so is it ethical or is it not ethical? Or maybe in terms of business, if we talk about there should not be any kind of gender biasness, there should be some fair wages which should be given, or everybody should be law abiding, so on and so forth. So we have to be quite objective in the research which we do. Then respect for the respondents. This is very, very important. They are the real source of data for us, and we cannot do any kind of research without getting proper and correct data. So we need to have the respect for the people who are the contributors in our research in some way or the other. And as I told you, that we have to be very, very sensitive. We have to sensitize towards the most vulnerable set of people. Now these vulnerable people, they are nothing but they are just the old people, maybe the sick people, maybe the minority, maybe the juniors, the minors. So we have to be very, very careful that we do not hurt them in any regard. Then beneficence is like maximizing the benefits of the participants, ethical obligation to maximize the benefits and minimize the harm. The main aim is that we should think about the participants rather than our own motives. We should not grind our own axes. So, and one thing more important, my dear friends, one of the biggest ethics in research is that we do not make any payment to the participants for the data collection. So this is a very important point that has to be borne in mind, that we should not make any payment to the participants for getting some kind of data. So we have to be quite respectful towards the people. Maybe the poor people, if they want to get some data and if we offer them some money, they would give the data, maybe true or maybe wrong. So that should not be done at all. So definitely we have to understand that the professional code has to be followed, and above all, there should not be any payment done to the participants for the responses. Then protecting the subject, then responsible publication. Since we are all in academia, we have to talk about publication ethics itself is a topic of 1 hour. So definitely we have to talk about the different kind of ethics while we are publishing our data. Maybe we should not overlap, or maybe not with the same organization, so on and so forth. And then protecting the anonymity, it means keeping the participant anonymous. It involves not revealing the name, caste and religion. Very important. Like for example, everyone is connected with the WhatsApp group, or maybe everyone is connected through Facebook. Every now and then we keep on getting a lot of Google Sheets. Kindly help us to fill up this data. Our research scholar is doing the work, so on and so forth. So, and then there is a one line also which is written in that introductory paragraph, that the data would be kept safe. It would be entirely for the education purpose, and however, the name and the identity of the respondents will not be disclosed. So that is one of the ethics that has to be borne in mind. Then, of course, confidentiality. I told you, any data which is of confidential nature, we have to understand it has to be kept very secretively, not to be divulged. For example, so and if at any time, part of time, the participants have the right to withdraw from the research that you are doing. So we have to do a lot of practice, a lot of confidentiality in terms of the identity of the participants. Then it's all related with the non-discrimination on the basis of the age, sex, race, ethnicity. One should not demarcate on the basis of male or female, or maybe the background from where they come, or the culture from which they follow, or maybe the religion. So these things, they have to be avoided. Then we talk about the openness, that people should be openness, that why the research is being done, what would be the repercussion, how will they get the data, what is the use of the data, and so on and so forth. And for example, here it is written, give credit to the intellectual property of others, always paraphrase while referring to others, article writing, never plagiarize. So in our research, plagiarism is one of the things which is against our research ethics. Then justice talks about that we have to be equal treatment has to be given to all the segment of the people or the participants of the research. Then again, it talks about the here one of the another main principle is that we have to get the informed consent from participants. We are randomly going and asking things without telling them why are we doing, what would be the purpose. That is not the right thing. So ultimately, we should be quite ethical in taking the participants in confidence, and then we are taking the data from them, avoiding any kind of misleading practices. We don't have to falsify, we don't have to fabricate. This is very important. Then it's related with the obtaining informed consent. The people who are the respondents, they should know who are we, or why are we doing it, what is the purpose of the discussion, will be the use of the research, how do they contribute, what is the role in research. So they should know everything from pin to plane about the research. Then confidentiality, of course, they have to maintain the records. The data should not be shared along with the name and identity, that Mr. X said so and so, Mr. Y said so and so. For example, whenever we are writing our research papers also, we should not be very no, the doctors say, Mr. X say, a very famous physician say, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Sharma, whatever. So we don't have to use that kind of words in our research. So we can always say that people who are an expert in this field, they are the ones who put their views like this. Then avoiding misleading practices of deceptive misleading practices. Now example, one small example of deceptive and misleading practice. For example, if it is a company and company is making false promises in terms of after sale service, or maybe in terms of quality, or maybe in terms of quantity, or maybe in terms of standards, so that is an unethical behavior on the part of the company. But in case if we are talking about research, we do not have to be deceptive. We do not have to fabricate the data, or mislead the participants that okay, we will not disclose your identity and later on we do it. So we need to avoid such kind of practices. Then it's providing the right to withdraw all the participants, whether it's your supposing if it is from the business point of view, maybe your customers, your employees, or maybe the shareholders, or maybe the external third parties. Everyone has the right to withdraw at any point of time. So here, additional principle is that we have to sensitize towards the feelings of the people who are poor, who are illiterate, who are minors, or who do not understand the intricacies of the research. So we have to be very, very careful about them. People who are old age, or people who are sufferers, or people who have long illness, or maybe the students, or maybe the minors. So these are the vulnerable groups. So we have to be very, very careful whenever we are taking data from them also, or maybe we are trying to we are trying to what do you call this uh, analyze the data. So we have to be very careful in that. Then in the case of skills of researcher, we have to understand that this researcher should be such that he has those ethics, the personal ethics. We had a lot of discussion related with the personal ethics. All those personal ethics are also applied while we do any kind of research. So as a researcher, if you are going to collect data from any rural area, so we should know about their market segmentation, or maybe the people who are they, how we are supposed to ask them, whether they are old people, whether they are rich people, whether they are poor people, so on and so forth. So we have to do it. Informed consent is again taking the participants into confidence, only then we are proceeding. So there are different stages and the process of the informed consent. Like we can inform the people before the starting of the study, or once they have been informed before the study, at the starting of the study, okay, we will be doing it and we will be going in a particular village, and we will be discussing and we will be collecting data. So all those things, they have to be told to people. And however, what is more important is that they have to be apprised with the risk factor. What are the risks that they would be exposed to? So all those things, they have to be well informed. And during the study, what would be the course of action? So in the case of informed consents, we have to talk about the research objectives. What would be the potential risk they would be exposed to? What would be the expected benefits that they would be, or how their data would be confidential and they have the right. There is no compulsion on them to participate in the research. However, it is the prerogative lies with them, whether they wish to be a part of the research or whether they do not wish to be a part of the research. And lastly, as I told you, a researcher should never pay to the participants for their participation. This is very, very essential. So these were the few research ethics. Now, what certain advantages are there? Of course, when we follow the ethics anywhere, we always get positive results. We already know what are the good ethics in our personal life. There can be some good ethics in terms of the company. There can be some good ethics in terms of the professional. There can be some good ethics in terms of family, teachers, students. There can be some good ethics related with the research, medical or scientific or engineering, so on and so forth. So here, when we talk about the research ethics, the advantages is that it promotes the aim of the research, and of course, it creates a lot of trust, respect, and support. If we are able to establish that kind of camaraderie, if we are able to match wavelengths, so naturally, our research is going to be of a high standard. And definitely, any kind of research which is done, the main aim is that we owe some responsibility towards the individuals, we owe some responsibility towards the society, we owe some responsibility towards the institution. So in case if we follow the ethics which I have just discussed, so naturally we would be promoting lot of social well-being and the moral values also. So, and our research would be good, and above all, as an individual, you feel very, very satisfied and contented that okay, we have followed the research ethics that we should have followed. However, at times there can be some kind of limitations of the research ethics. For example, there could be some psychological risk, there could be some social, legal, economical risk, that one can face. Maybe supposing if people living in tribal areas, they may be discriminated on the basis of their caste, creed, sex. So these are the limitations. There would be people who would not like be they would not like to come up and expose their areas. For example, in case if we talk about, in case if anybody would like to know about your income, okay, you tell about your income. But if anybody tells you how much money do you earn under table, nobody would like to tell it, just in case if there are people are earning it. So these are the areas where we cannot get the proper responses from the people. So there can be different kind of risk that can be associated. For example, a questionnaire may perhaps signify a risk if it fears traumatic events or happenings that are especially traumatic. For example, if I ask Mr. X, does your child steals? If anybody will ask you, does your child steal? So of course everybody would say, no, no, my child is not a thief. My child never steals. Sorry, my child never steals anything. But in case I know that your child is a thief and he has stolen number of items, but still people will not confess. So one of the ways of writing, one of the ethics of asking such questions when we draft a questionnaire, it is just the beating behind the bush. For example, how many times you have seen that the goods have been missing in your house? How frequently have you noticed that the goods are missing from your house? Did you ever find those goods in the bags of your child? So we have to beat behind the bush and then we take out the answers. So however, one there can be some kind of psychological risk also. No, people may be traumatized, people may not be comfortable in answering the question. So in that case, we have to be very very considerate, and we have to be very careful that we do not hurt the sentiments also, but however we are able to get the data that we want to get it. Then it's like how we can ensure ethics in different steps of life. Definitely we have to follow the ethics which I have just talked about. We have to talk about the people who will be the sufferers, who are the people who are going to contribute, maintaining their confidentiality, about their personality, about the truthfulness. So in case if we follow the just behavior, or maybe the justice equality behavior, then definitely we can do it. Now, another way of looking at research ethic is by looking at the unethical research. For example, what would be like, for example, deception. The people would not like to disclose the items. You have the information, but people would not like to disclose it. Misleading participants, falsification. For example, there are no participants, but still you have made it in your own way. These are the participants. We contacted them, so and so. So this is not ethically correct. Then we have to talk about objectivity and the integrity in the design and the conduct of the research. So we do not have to misinterpret the results. Whatever has been collected, it should be written down exactly. I'll just share with you, when I was in IIM Ahmedabad in 2011. So our teachers used to tell us, they used to sit on the table, again they're writing, scribbling, again they are folding the paper, throwing in the dustbin, again they are writing, again they're thinking, again they're doing it. So it's a reiterative process of writing things. So in the similar fashion, whenever we are collecting data for our analysis part, so we have to be very very careful that nothing is misleading, nothing is fabricated, nothing is falsified, nothing wrong is being mentioned, and of course keeping in mind the behavior pattern of the, or the emotional quotient of most vulnerable people in their group. Then it says that not respecting the privacy. You promise the respondents that the identity will not be disclosed, but you're disclosing it. Then confidentiality, not respecting the rights of the vulnerable groups. I have been reiterating about the groups, maybe the prisoners, or maybe the illiterate people, or maybe the mentally handicapped people, mentally retarded people, or maybe the sufferers who have faced very very hard, or they have been the victims of the most heinous crimes. So in case if you're not empathetic towards them, so that would constitute to an unethical research conduct. And of course not having consideration for the environment too. So in case if we talk about again the research ethics, no plagiarism should be done, no embezzlement of the ideas should be done. We should not steal the ideas of somebody and make it our own. No falsification and fabrication. Basically, falsification is like something which is not true but you are writing it, and fabrication means you have the data but you are manipulating it in in somehow or the other. One of the example is morphing the photograph, something which is not real, but with the help of softwares you have morphed it, and you are again trying to cheat someone. Then fraud is an intentional will to deceive somebody. So we have to be very, very careful that in our research we do not do anything which is fraudulent practice, or maybe the compliance of the regulatory guidelines. Now, in the case of publication ethics, there are a number of bodies which have been formed at different levels. They are the ones which keep an eye on the publication. So anything which is guided by law and legal, something which is legal also, we have to abide them. And then, of course, inappropriate authorship. This is one of the, again, misconduct on the part of the researcher. The entire thing has been done by somebody, but he or she is not being given the due credit. So that is also one of the unethical behavior. Maybe some of the fraudulent practices. Now, one important part is why we do, though everyone is aware. For example, everyone is aware that one should not steal, one should not break the traffic rules, one should not lie, one should not cheat. We have been talking about a lot of personal ethics. One should not do any kind of gossiping, one should not have ego, one should not be jealous, one should not have hatred feeling, one should not be lazy, so on and so forth. But still we do it. Everyone is aware, but still we do it. So what are the reasons for the unethical behavior? So one quite apparent topic is like ignorance. People are ignorant. Maybe the illiterate people, or maybe the minor people, or old age people. Maybe they are ignorant. They commit it. Maybe the teachers, they are ignorant. They weren't aware of, or maybe the policies and the standards, they were not told to them. Or this could be one of the reasons why there's an unethical behavior. Then another one, that in the research ethics, that we have to be quite respectful towards everyone, towards the individuals, towards the society, towards the institution primarily. So of course we have to follow the principles. So these are the principles of research ethics in this small chart, that we should be quite respectful towards the participants, sponsors, communities, just in terms of their equality. And beneficence is basically that we have to be very, very careful that the participants, they are not hurt in any regard, maybe physically, mentally, or maybe the social well-being has to be kept in mind when we do any kind of research. So these are the basically ethical principles of just and the respect and the beneficence, that none of them, they should be hurt. So again, whether in my beginning of the session I had talked about, I wanted to have a small introduction to know. So there were a few people from the biochemistry side, maybe others who have joined and they have not spoken. They may be coming from varied fields. So evolution of this ethics and landscape is like international. For example, the Nuremberg Code, or maybe the Declaration of the Helsinki. So these are the codes which have been done with the purpose. Maybe something related with the biodiversity, maybe something which is related with medical, something which is related with clinical. So all kind of codes have been there. Declaration of Helsinki was in the year 1964, and so anybody who is a member of the committee research ethic, so definitely they would be looking forward for the points which we have discussed, that we should maintain the respect and dignity of the participants, the privacy and the confidentiality, or maybe to what an extent the benefits and the risk have been communicated to the participants, whether the subject has been collected is fair and just, or maybe the professional competence. It's all related with the skills of the researcher, which I talked about earlier, and anything which is related with the vulnerable group of people. Again, the poor, the illiterate, the old, the aged, or maybe the culprit, the victims of the most heinous crimes. So of course, those things, they have been kept in mind or no. So those are the committees who would be giving clearances on the basis of such things only. So it's just the last one, and it's definitely everybody, be it a teacher, be it a researcher, be it an assistant professor, be it an associate professor, be it a professor. Everyone is into research, and whosoever is in research has to think about the research ethics, and above all, we have to think about the ethical clearances while we do our research, and whatever research we do, it has to get published. So the research should be done that it should be able to maintain the dignity of the participants, the confidentiality, the trust, the fairness part, the openness part, the risk, the benefits, and the fair selection of the people, the competence of the researcher, and of course, the most important part is that the protocols and the procedures have to be followed legally and ethically correct. So that's all, and it says that an educated person is a person who has learned to learn and change. So no matter what kind of research would have been doing it, or maybe if we have been following unethical issues in our research, we can always learn and change ourselves. So it says that make excellence a habit. So it's like from my side, how each one of us who's on this platform can go to greater heights. So my best wishes to each one of you. These are my books in the market. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being ethical. So with this good note, I hope that everyone is ethical in their personal life. Everyone is ethical in their research area also. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and wishing you all the best in your future endeavors.